Anna sat at the dinner table, trying to stay calm as her sister-in-law, Jessica, sneered at her. "You're just a placeholder, Anna," Jessica said, swirling her wine. "My brother would never legally marry someone like you." Anna glanced at the wine, wondering if it would stain the white tablecloth. The room fell silent, except for a few awkward coughs. Her husband David spoke next. "Jessica's right," he said, holding another woman's hand. "His new girlfriend, Sarah. What you and I had was just convenient. Sarah and I have something real." Anna took a sip of wine, watching as her mother-in-law, Margaret, smiled at Sarah. The same woman who had spent years criticizing Anna was now welcoming her husband's mistress like a future daughter-in-law. "Interesting," Anna finally said. Her calm tone unsettled them. They had expected tears, begging, or anger. But not this. "That's all you have to say," Jessica pushed. "David is leaving you." Anna wiped her lips with her napkin and smiled slightly. "Would you like me to act surprised? Devastated? That would make you happy, wouldn't it?" David frowned. "This attitude is exactly why things didn't work out between us. Sarah understands family loyalty." Anna almost laughed. Loyalty? The same loyalty David had when he cheated? The same loyalty Jessica had when she covered for him? Margaret jumped in. "Speaking of loyalty," she said, pretending to sound kind, "I hope you understand that the house stays with David. Since you two were never officially married, you don't have any claim to it." They all looked so confident, so sure they had won. David had told his family he never legally registered their marriage, thinking it protected him. Anna reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. "It's amazing what you can do online these days," she said, scrolling through her messages. "Banking, shopping, registering a marriage." The room went silent. David's fork dropped. "What are you talking about?" he asked, his smugness gone. "Oh, nothing," Hannah said, standing up. "Just that while you were busy with Sarah, I was making sure our marriage was legally registered. All I needed was the signed certificate from our wedding. And, well, you signed the paperwork 6 months ago without reading it." Jessica's face turned pale. "You're lying." "David was always too busy to read what he signed," Anna replied. "Every morning, I gave him documents for work, and he just signed them all without looking." David jumped up, knocking over his chair. "You tricked me. That's illegal." "Actually, it's not," Anna said, grabbing her purse. "Oh, and about the house. You might want to check whose name is on the deed. You weren't the only one making plans." As she walked out, chaos erupted. Jessica yelled, Margaret demanded proof, and David frantically called his lawyer. "This isn't over," Jessica screamed. Anna turned back with a smirk. "You're right, it's just beginning." She looked at David. "Make sure to read the divorce papers carefully this time." The door clicked shut behind her. As she got into her car, she texted her lawyer. "It's done. They fell for it. Move to phase 2. The reply came instantly. "Everything's ready. They won't know what hit them." Anna smiled as she started the car. They had underestimated her. They thought she was a quiet, obedient wife. But before she met David, she had spent 5 years working in contract law. And now they were about to learn exactly what that meant. The next morning, I sat in Maria's office, going over our strategy. My phone buzzed nonstop with messages from David and his family. I ignored them, focusing on the legal documents in front of me. "They've already contacted their lawyer," Maria said, sliding a paper toward me. "They're claiming coercion and fraud, just as we expected." I scanned the document. "Let me guess. They're saying David didn't realize he signed the marriage papers?" "Exactly," Maria said with a smirk. "But they haven't found the video yet." "Ah, the video." Our home security cameras had caught David bragging to Jessica about his plan. How he never registered our marriage, so I have no claim to anything. That recording would be very useful in court. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from Margaret. "You devious little snake. We trusted you." Maria pulled up another document. "They've also filed for an emergency hearing to contest the house ownership. Seems they finally checked the records." I remember the day I transferred the house into my name. David had been too distracted by Sarah to notice the paperwork I slipped into his daily stack. Thanks to the power of attorney he had once signed without reading, I had full control. A knock at the door interrupted us. Maria's assistant entered with an envelope. "This just arrived from the courthouse. The emergency hearing is set for 3 days from now." Perfect, Maria said, checking the details. That gives us time to prepare our surprise. The surprise was months in the making, a detailed file of every lie, every transaction, and most importantly, proof that David had been stealing from his company to fund his lavish lifestyle. Just then, my phone lit up with a message from Jessica. David is devastated. How could you do this to him, to our family? I laughed. Family. The same family that had treated me like an outsider. The same family that cheered when David replaced me with Sarah. Maria's voice pulled me back. Should we send the evidence about the stolen company funds? I nodded. Send it to the board first. Let them deal with him. By late afternoon, everything was falling apart for David. His company suspended him. Sarah, sensing trouble, had started avoiding him. Jessica, who had been so smug, was now scrambling to delete incriminating social media posts. That evening, I pulled into my driveway, my house now, not his, and saw David waiting on the porch. He looked exhausted, his confidence gone. We need to talk, he said as I approached. Actually, we don't, I replied. If you need something, speak to my lawyer. Come on, Anna, he pleaded. This isn't like you. We can work something out. I stopped and looked him in the eye. You're right, I'm not usually like this. But I protected myself from someone who wanted to leave me with nothing. I would have taken care of you, he insisted. Like you took care of our marriage? I shook my head. Instead of being honest, you plotted behind my back. His expression hardened. You tricked me into signing those papers. No, David, I said calmly. I just let you think you were tricking me. I stepped past him and unlocked the door. Now please leave before I call the police. This is my property after all. At that moment, my phone buzzed with an email from Maria. The subject line read, Board meeting concluded. Verdict attached. I smiled. I didn't need to open it to know what it said. David's carefully built life was crumbling around him. This isn't over, he called as I shut the door. I glanced at my phone and whispered, You're right, it's just beginning. The house felt different, lighter. Free, I walked through the rooms thinking about the changes I wanted to make. This place was mine now, and I had plans for it. Then, another message popped up, this one from Sarah. I didn't know about any of this. He told me you two were already separated. I left it unanswered. Sarah's realization about David was her problem now. Tomorrow was the emergency hearing, but I wasn't worried. Maria and I had prepared for every excuse, every lie, every attempt to make me the villain. But this wasn't about revenge. It was about justice. I settled into my favorite chair by the window, watching the sunset. For the first time in months, I felt at peace. The next phase was about to begin, and I was ready. The emergency hearing arrived with all the drama I'd expected. David's family filed into the courtroom like a united front. Margaret, Jessica, and even Sarah lingering in the back row. Their confidence lasted exactly 12 minutes. That's how long it took Maria to present our evidence. First came the video footage. David and Jessica plotting in our living room, discussing how to keep the marriage unofficial. Their faces paled as their own voices echoed through the courtroom. She'll never know, David had said on screen. We'll just keep stringing her along until I'm ready to leave. Next came the financial records. Every suspicious transaction, every misappropriated fund meticulously documented. The judge's expression grew increasingly stern as the evidence mounted. But the final blow, that came from an unexpected source. Your Honor, Maria announced, we'd like to call Sarah Mitchell to the stand. The look of sheer panic on David's face was almost comical. Sarah, who'd been served with a subpoena the previous day, walked to the witness stand like someone heading to their own execution. Ms. Mitchell, Maria began, could you tell the court about the conversation you had with Mr. Harrison on March 15th regarding his marriage status? Sarah glanced nervously at David before answering. He told me he'd never legally register his marriage to Anna. Said it was his way of protecting himself. And did he mention what would happen to his wife when he left her? Sarah's voice trembled. He said she wouldn't get anything. That was the plan all along. The courtroom erupted in whispers. I caught Jessica frantically texting, probably trying to salvage what she could of their crumbling defense. Your Honor, David's lawyer interjected. My client maintains that the marriage registration was obtained through deception. The judge held up her hand. Counselor, your client was recorded explicitly discussing his plan to deceive his wife. Are you suggesting he should benefit from his own attempted fraud? By the time the judge delivered her ruling, David's perfect facade had completely shattered. The marriage was declared valid, the property transfer upheld, and his attempts to contest them were dismissed with prejudice. Furthermore, the judge added, I'm referring the evidence of financial misconduct to the district attorney's office for review. Outside the courtroom, Margaret attempted one final confrontation. You've destroyed this family, she hissed, stepping into my path. No, Margaret, I replied calmly. Your family did that all on their own. I just made sure everyone could see the truth. Walking away from the courthouse, I felt lighter than I had in years. Not because I'd won, though that was satisfying, but because I'd finally stood up to the people who tried to diminish me. 3 months later, I sat on my patio, sipping coffee and reading the morning news. David had pleaded guilty to financial misconduct, accepting a plea deal that included restitution. Sarah had moved to another state, presumably wiser about trusting married men with convenient stories. Jessica had gone surprisingly quiet on social media, her usual boasts about family loyalty conspicuously absent. My phone buzzed with a message from Maria. Final paperwork filed. It's officially over. I smiled, thinking about the journey that had brought me here. The house had been redecorated, every trace of my old life with David replaced with choices that were purely mine. The garden, which Margaret had always criticized as too modern, was thriving under my care. You know what's funny? I said to Maria over lunch later that week. They thought they were so clever, planning to leave me with nothing. They never realized they were teaching me exactly how to beat them at their own game. Sometimes the best lessons come from our worst teachers, she replied with a knowing smile. As I drove home that evening, I passed David's new apartment, a stark downgrade from our former life. He was carrying groceries inside, looking older and tired. For a moment, I felt a twinge of, not regret, exactly, but recognition of how differently things might have gone if he'd just been honest. But that wasn't my concern anymore. My story wasn't about revenge or even justice, really. It was about refusing to be a victim in someone else's plot. About standing up and saying, not this time. I parked in my driveway, and looked at the home I'd fought to keep. The sunset painted the windows in shades of gold, and through them, I could see the life I'd built for myself, free from manipulation and lies. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do isn't fighting back. It's being prepared, being patient, and letting people face the consequences of their own actions. They had underestimated me, seeing only what they wanted to see. The quiet, accommodating wife who would step aside without a fight. Instead, they got me, the real me, and that had made all the difference. The end.